Part 15. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 141. Chapter 141 I Will Die Without Him. As soon as Zhou Ji heard that this matter could be solved, he breathed a sigh of relief and sincerely invited. Mr. Kingzu Immortal, it seems that I have to trouble you to come to Songcheng. I know that 1000 yuan is not enough for a big job, so I will give you another reward. To be honest, besides Kingzu Immortal Lord, he didn't know who else he could turn to solve this matter. As long as it can help him solve the entangled female ghost and prevent Ji from being harmed, it is worth spending no matter how much money he spends. Pei Anzu agreed. I'm leaving for Songcheng today, please send me the address via private message. Are you coming by plane? I'll pick you up at the airport, Zhou Ji said, and was about to go out immediately. Yunqing is not too far from Songcheng. If you buy the nearest flight ticket and include the time to the airport, you can get there in more than 3 hours at most. After making the decision, Pei Anzu also planned to go out. I want to go with you. Shen Yuan stood up and looked at her expectantly. Then let's go. Pei Anzu did not refuse. So Shen Yuan happily packed some luggage, followed Pei Anzu, and went on a business trip. She saw Pei Anzu wearing a mini camera on her collar. In order not to expose Pei Anzu's identity, she carefully avoided the position of the camera to prevent others from finding out about Pei Anzu through her. More than 3 hours later, the two arrived in Songcheng. The signal in the live broadcast room was restored, and Zhou Ji also appeared at the airport as scheduled. Mr. Zhou. Pei Anzu walked over and greeted him. Zhou Ji saw Pei Anzu, and like many people who saw her for the first time, he was stunned for a moment, surprised by the youngness of this master. However, a familiar voice told him that the person in front of him was Immortal Kingzu, and he immediately respectfully invited Pei Anzu and Shen Yuan to get in the car. Where are we going now? Shen Yuan asked after getting in the car. Zhou Ji glanced at Pei Anzu through the rearview mirror and said, I have booked a room in the hotel. I will send you to settle down and have a rest first. We will solve this matter tomorrow. No, let's go directly to your house and see you. Pei Anzu said, it would be better to resolve the matter as soon as possible. Thank you, Kingzu Immortal Lord. Zhou Ji thanked him and drove towards the Zhou family villa. Before meeting the Kingzu Immortal Lord, he felt a little unsure, but after meeting him, he knew that the Kingzu Immortal Lord was not the kind of person who fished for fame. She is here to do practical things. The car arrived at the villa area and parked in front of Zhou's house. Another car also happened to stop next door. The car door opened, and a girl got out of the car. She was Zhou Ji's girlfriend, Zhou Ji. Zhou Ji said sorry to Pei Anzu, then hurried over, took Zhou Ji's hand and looked at it. The injury hasn't healed yet, why are you discharged from the hospital? Also, why didn't you tell me that you were discharged from the hospital so that I could pick you up? Zhou Ji took out her hand and snorted coldly. How dare I work for Mr. Zhou, how can I let you come and pick me up? Ji. Zhou Ji felt helpless. Don't call her so affectionate, we have broken up. From now on, call me Miss Zhou. After Zhou Ji finished speaking, she turned around and walked back into the house. Unexpectedly, Zhou Ji grabbed her and said solemnly. Ji, I know you believe that I betrayed you. I can't explain why the secrets belonging to both of us were known to a third person. But I can swear that I have never done anything. Sorry to you. If you don't believe it, follow me now and come to my house and I will prove it to you. Zhou Ji said this based on his trust in Kingzu Immortal Lord. Since the other party said that the matter would be solved, he could also let Zhou Ji see the truth with her own eyes. Zhou Ji grew up in a very good family and was well educated. She has neither a virgin nor a love mind. When she learned that she might be betrayed, she immediately withdrew, not wanting to waste herself. But she and Zhou Ji grew up as childhood sweethearts, and the memories of getting along in the past made her never doubt Zhou Ji's character. It's just that Zhou Jiyi couldn't explain why Fang Keek knew the secret between the two before, so she felt disappointed. Now, seeing Zhou Jiyi begging her so solemnly, she finally felt soft and was willing to give this relationship another chance, so she nodded. This is your last chance, Zhou Jiyi, no one likes me or wants me. If you can't give me a reasonable explanation, then we will break up from now on. This day will never happen, Zhou Jiyi said. Because Zhou Jiyi was willing to give her a chance, he was very happy to help her walk over and join Pei Anzu and the others. Zhou Jiyi saw two young and beautiful girls standing next to the car. They were elegantly and decently dressed. Their faces were slightly blue, and there was a flash of disappointment in their eyes. She thought that Pei Anzu and Shen Yuran, like the previous girls, were here to stalk Zhou Jiyi, but Zhou Jiyi not only did not reject them, but took them home. This is the explanation, he said. No wonder others say that a man's mouth is a liar. But Zhou Jiyi is not one to keep his word. Since she promised to give Zhou Jiyi a chance, she wants to see what kind of explanation he can give. Led by Zhou Jiyi, a group of people entered the door. Before anyone had time to react, they saw a figure rushing out of the room and hugging Zhou Jiyi's waist tightly. Brother Jiyi, you are back. It is Fang Keek. This move directly made everyone blush. Zhou Jiyi glanced at Zhou Jiyi in panic, pushed the person away suddenly, and took a few steps back. Jiyi, it was she who rushed over. Fang Keek looked at so many people and immediately showed an aggrieved expression, and said to Zhou Jiyi. Brother Jiyi, how can you say that? We obviously have the same affection. You're talking nonsense, Zhou Jiyi couldn't bear it. You went to Jiyi privately and made her get hit by a car by talking nonsense. You also went in and out of my room without permission and made some shameless and obscene acts. If it weren't for your father's sake, my parents would. If I had asked you to stay, I would have thrown you out. Brother Jiyi, Fang Keek burst into tears after hearing this. I love you, I can't live without you, I will die without you. You have to have a limit when you lie. No one in this world will die if you leave them. Zhou Jiyi turned a deaf ear to her tears. I came back today to make it clear to you in front of Jiyi. You and I have never been more than friends. The only one I love in my life is Jiyi, so you'd better put away your tricks. After hearing this, Fang Keek was greatly shocked and cried and asked. But, I will really die without you. For the sake of the friendship between our two families, how can you not save me? Zhou Jiyi heard this again and asked. Love can't be eaten, so how can it be possible to die? It's true, Fang Keek explained with tears, I am bound to a strategy system, which allows me to strategy you. Only by making you fall in love with me can I survive, otherwise I will be obliterated. After the words fell, everyone present had questions on their faces. Even the audience in the live broadcast room was dumbfounded. Is this system document brought into reality? Isn't that too nonsense? Have you read too many novels about this woman? Also guide, it's so funny. Upstairs, all the ghosts and ghosts are out now. Maybe there really is a system? This, I just happened to be obsessed with reading strategy articles recently. I liked it at first, but now. The world is so big and full of wonders. It's really a great experience. I thought about many reasons why she would die, such as depression, loving too deeply, etc., but I didn't expect that she would be wiped out by the system. Too catchy. Zhou Jiyi was also stunned. He thought Fang Keek was haunted by a ghost, but he didn't expect it was the system. As for this high-tech thing, can the Kingzu Immortal solve it? He looked at Pei Anzu hesitantly, but when he saw the other party looking at Fang Keek with a half-smile, he felt relaxed and instantly felt relieved. In order to let Kingzu Immortal Lord understand Fang Keek better, he softened his tone and took the initiative to talk. Keek, it's not that I don't believe you, it's just that the things you said are too unbelievable. Furthermore, your behavior before was very excessive and should not have been done at all. You should not have gone to Ji, and even caused her to have a car accident. But let's put that aside, tell me the ins and outs of binding that system, and I'll see if there's any other way to help you. Fang Keishi told the truth and got Zhou Jiyi's understanding. He was overjoyed and told everything. I was bound to this strategy system 3 days before I came to Zhou's house. At that time, I was shopping, and a voice appeared in my ear for no reason, claiming to be the strategy system, asking me to defeat you. It said that if I fail to complete the task, I will be punished only by successfully conquering it and marrying you to become Mrs. Zhou. Can I successfully untie it? The first task it gave me was to move into Zhou's house within 48 hours. If I failed to complete it, I would be punished. I didn't believe it at first, so I put off doing it, and then I started to get injured for no apparent reason. I sprained my foot while walking on the road, cut my hand when I broke a glass while drinking water, and my leg suddenly became weak and fell down when I was going down the stairs. The system told me to give me another 24 hours. If I don't come, I will die, so I moved into the Zhou family in the name of my father, and then got close to you. Brother Ji, what I said is true. I don't want to die. Just take pity on me and marry me. If the system unties me and my life is no longer in danger, I will give you back. Give it to Zhou Ji, okay. As Fang Keek spoke, she rolled up her sleeves and trouser legs to show everyone the wounds on her body. She is also considered to be a rich young lady from a wealthy family. She will hardly suffer any injuries, and the scars on her body are still very new. They are obviously new injuries, which can also support her words. Hearing this reason, Zhou Ji felt it was hard to explain. How can something so outrageous happen in the world? Who is this so-called system? How can it influence other people's feelings? Miss Fang, I sympathize with your experience, but I will never forgive you for provoking me and framing me. I'm here to make a statement. I will not allow my lover to marry another woman for these inexplicable reasons. If he insists on being kind, then I can only choose to withdraw from Changquan. So Zhou Ji, it's up to you. After saying this, Zhou Ji turned around and left. She had almost figured out the reason. The reason why Fang Keek knew the secret between her and Zhou Ji was probably because of some system cheat. Zhou Ji did not betray her, but when faced with Fang Keek's life, his choice was not yet certain. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 142. Chapter 142. I only love her in this life. Seeing that Zhou Ji was about to leave, Zhou Ji quickly grabbed her, and then looked at Pei Anzu with pleading eyes. King Zhu, immortal lord. Pei Anzu nodded, smiled at Zhou Ji and said, Miss Zhou, don't be in a hurry to leave. Just finish watching the scene before leaving. After saying this, she walked towards Fang Keek without waiting for Zhou Ji's answer. Fang Keek looked at Pei Anzu warily. Although she didn't understand what the girl in front of her was going to do, her intuition told her that the other person was not good. Sure enough, Pei Anzu approached Fang Keek. Without saying anything, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the top of her head. This grab was as fast as the wind, so fast that it caught people off guard and made it impossible for them to react. The next second, everyone heard a scream. Ah dash! It was a woman's voice, and she sounded very young. Everyone looked at Pei Anzu's movements, but saw that she seemed to have grabbed something in her hand and threw it to the ground. The scream sounded again, which was horrifying. System, Pei Anzu smiled sarcastically, how can anyone believe this kind of deception? I don't know if it's because you are too smart or because others are too stupid, but you probably didn't expect that you would be caught one day, right? Fang Keek looked horrified. What's going on? Have you caught me out of the system? Who are you? Others also looked at Pei Anzu, wondering what was going on. Finally, Zhou Ji remembered what she said in the live broadcast room and asked. Is this a female ghost? impersonating the system. I'll let you see it with your own eyes. After Pei Anzu finished speaking, he made seals with his hands. After doing a few movements, he saw an invisible force sweeping across everyone's eyes. In the next second, everyone can see things that were originally invisible. At Pei Anzu's feet, there was a ghost lying down, wearing a white dress, long straight black hair, thick black rimmed glasses, and a face full of acne. She looks completely devoid of any evil spirit, just like an ordinary person. But no one here would treat her as an ordinary person. Lu Xiaoting, Zhou Jiyi stared at her with wide eyes and looked at her in disbelief. How could it be you? Didn't you miss school because of illness? Have you already? After someone called out her identity, the female ghost on the ground slowly raised her head, her eyes full of hatred, and she rushed towards Pei Anzu. It's all you who ruined my good deeds. However, she was no match for Pei Anzu. She was quickly kicked away and fell to the ground again. Pei Anzu slapped a talisman on her body so that she could not move, and then he said, "The case has been solved. Any system or strategy is all nonsense. She was the one behind it. Because she is a ghost, she cannot be seen by others when she wants to be invisible, so it is very convenient for her to impersonate the system. And because she is a ghost, she can go anywhere through the wall at will, so she can peek into the company's documents, learn about Zhou Jiyi's schedule, and even stand by and read the chat records while Zhou Jiyi is chatting with Zhou Jiyi. This explains why Zhang Duoduo can wait for Zhou Jiyi's destination in advance. It also explains how Chen Miao Miao, an ignorant girl, took over the responsibility for the case from her brother. It also explains how Fang Why does Coco know the secret between you two. Moreover, because she is a ghost, she can secretly create many accidents in Fang Keek's life, making her think that this is a systematic punishment, forcing her to do as required in order to survive. This is all because of you, Lu Xiaoting, who is pretending to be the system, is helping. Zhou Jiyi stared at Lu Xiaoting for a while before asking, "Why is this?" Lu Xiaoting stared at Zhou Jiyi and said, "Because I like Zhou Jiyi, I must get him. He is such an outstanding boy, but he is treated like a dog by you. I feel sorry for him. He is just confused by you because you grew up together, he is used to your existence, so he thinks he likes you, but I want to break his perception. I want him to know that I love him the most. I won't be like you, always asking him to buy milk tea or snacks. I will greet him, wash clothes and cook for him. I will make him feel the warmth of home. Zhou Jiyi is mine, it's mine. You deserve to die. If I didn't want to be with him as you, I would have killed you long ago." After saying this, the whole place fell silent. Subsequently, Fang Keek was the first to collapse. She screamed and rushed towards Lu Xiaoting, forgetting that she was a ghost, and slapped her in the face. Unexpectedly, she missed the target and passed her hand through the other person's face. She then remembered that the other person was a ghost, and then backed away in fear, but she was still full of resentment towards Lu Xiaoting. "You will die if you die. Why do you pretend to be the system to commit evil? Do you know that I don't like Zhou Jiyi at all? I have my own boyfriend. Because you couldn't complete the task and wanted to kill me, I broke up with him and hurt him deeply. Because of your tasks, I went to Zhou Jiyi's room to offer myself a pillow, which made my uncle and Aunt Zhou's disgusted with me. If you die, you will die. Why are you doing harm to others? Rubbish." Zhou Jiyi looked at Fang Tingting, who was in pain, and sighed involuntarily. Before today, she was resentful of Fang Keek, thinking that he had ruined her relationship with Zhou Jiyi, but at this moment, she realized that Fang Keek was the biggest victim. Her favorite boyfriend broke up, and her reputation was ruined by recommending herself as a pillow. All this was just because she thought there was a strategy system and wanted to survive. It's a system, it's just a scam. Zhou Jiyi thought all this was magical. She couldn't figure it out, so she just said, You're pretty good at hiding it. I've been living in the same dormitory with you for several years, but I didn't even notice that you liked Zhou Jiyi. But if you really liked him, why didn't you tell him and instead went to harm other girls after you died? Fang Keek was on the same side as Zhou Jiyi at this time, opening his mouth as if he was about to spit out venom. Huh, it's because I feel inferior. Looking at her face, she can't even eat. How can she be embarrassed to confess to her boyfriend? She must know that confession can only have one result, and that is to be rejected, so she makes so many troubles. Fang Keek was a well-educated girl before, and generally would not ridicule other girls for their weaknesses, but this time she really couldn't help it. She was badly harmed by this Lu Xiaoting. Things were finally made clear. Everything was just an unreasonable disaster caused by a girl with low self-esteem who was unwilling to give up after her death. Zhou Jiyi stared at Lu Xiaoting on the ground, and for the first time, she lost the grace of a and said something heartbreaking. Did I want you to like me? Did I force you to like me with a knife? Being liked by you is really the most unlucky thing that has happened to me in my life. If you were alive to confess your love to me, even though I would reject you, I would resolve the matter in a dignified manner and would never hurt your self-esteem. But do you know how many people you have harmed by doing this? Zhang Duoduo lost her hard-earned internship job because of you. It's hard to get into the Zhou family's company, and after she was fired, it would also have an impact on her future job hunting. Chen Miao Miao seized power from her brother. After losing your system, do you know what her brother will do to her? She was originally a child brought by her stepmother, and it will only be more difficult for the Chen family in the future. You made Fang Keek break up with her boyfriend and lose her reputation. Even Ji Yi was injured in a car accident. All this is because of your selfishness. What's more, why do you think that Ji Yi treats me like a dog? How can someone like you understand the relationship between Ji Yi and I for more than 20 years? I only love Ji Yi in my life. I buy her things and treat her well. This is my willingness. Why do you feel wronged for me and then harbor hatred towards Ji Yi? You are just mentally ill. You live in your own world and do these disgusting things in the name of doing good for me. I tell you, it's a good thing you're dead, otherwise I would sue you and put you in jail. For Lu Xiaoting, Zhou Jiyi's questioning and Fang Keek's ridicule were indifferent. She didn't care at all. But the boy she liked said such harsh words to her. Every word was like a hammer, hitting her heart, making her miserable. No, it's not like that. I love you, I do everything for you, how can you miss me so much? It's all their fault. If she hadn't caught me, I would have succeeded in Fang Keek's strategy. So what if the strategy is successful? I will be with him then. So what does it have to do with you? Fang Keek snorted coldly. After listening to so much gossip about grievances and resentments, it was finally Pei Anzu's turn to speak. Of course it's none of her business. You are the body she carefully selected. As long as you succeed in the strategy, she is sure that Zhou Jiyi will be with you, and she will definitely replace you. At that time, you will be truly obliterated. Very good. There was another hatred between Fang Keek and Lu Xiaoting. She asked Pei Anzu. Are you the master Zhou Jiyi has hired? Do you have a way to deal with this woman completely? I don't want an invisible ghost to come out and cause trouble in their lives in the future. Pei Anzu nodded. If there is a way to solve it, I will take her away and she will never appear in front of you in the future. After hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Zhou Jiyi said to Zhou Jiyi. I'm sorry, Jiyi, I misunderstood you before. It's okay, as long as you explain it clearly, and as long as you don't break up with me, we will be fine in the future and everything will be fine. Zhou Jiyi smiled and asked, your injury is not healed yet, I will send you back to rest first, and wait for me once this matter has been completely resolved. Can I tell you in detail? Zhou Jiyi nodded. She was indeed a little tired. Having just been discharged from the hospital, she was still injured and had not fully recovered. She also experienced such an incident that destroyed her outlook on life. She really needed a good rest. Kingzu, immortal lord, please sit here for a while and I'll be back as soon as I send Ji back, Zhou Ji said. Let me get you some water. You've been here for so long and you've helped us solve this terrible thing. You didn't even drink any water. It's really rude, Fang Keek also said, then turned around and ran to pour the water. Pei Anzu put Lu Xiaoting on the ground into the talisman, and then waited for Zhou Ji to come back. Fortunately, the Zhou family was next door, so it wouldn't take long to send her back. At this time, the audience in the live broadcast room were also discussing this matter with each other. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 143. Chapter 143. She is a living soul. This live broadcast room is so amazing, there are things that shock me every time. Pricking with a knife opened my eyes. I have to admit that Lu Xiaoting knows a lot about internet literature. The excuse of system guide is really good, and it doesn't make anyone suspect anything is wrong. That's right, if Zhou Ji hadn't been smart enough to find immortal King Zhu, these people wouldn't have known how they would have been harmed. Do you just pay attention to Lu Xiaoting? Zhou Ji's final confession to Zhou Ji was the most poignant. He is really, I cried to death. I lamented again, how can I find such a boyfriend? Pei Anzu took out the Neo God mask from his skull bag and put it on, then took out his mobile phone, looked at the situation in the live broadcast room, and said, "Dear friends, today's live broadcast ends here, see you next time." After saying that, she exited the live broadcast room. The audience also knows her character. She ends when she says it is over and will not extend the live broadcast time because of everyone's efforts to stay, so everyone is happy to watch. After turning off the live broadcast, Pei Anzu put away his mask and mini camera, sat side by side on the sofa with Shen Yuan, and drank the water brought by Fang Keek. Soon, Zhou Ji came back. 4 people were sitting in the living room. He took out a bank card from his pocket and handed it over. Thanks to the help of immortal King Zhu for today's matter, there are 2 million in it, please accept it. Zhou Ji is still a senior student, and is only the heir of the Zhou family. He does not have absolute sovereignty over the Zhou family, so he cannot give Pei Anzu too many things like the Shen family and the Qin family. The 2 million is the sincerity he can show. Pei Anzu naturally wouldn't refuse the customer if he wanted to give it. She accepted the money and then spoke. This matter is actually not over yet. How could it be? Fang Keek wondered, isn't that female ghost already taken in by you, master? I took her in, but she is not a female ghost, Pei Anzu said, she is a living soul. What do you mean? Shen Yuan asked curiously. It means that the person is not dead, but the soul has left the body. It looks almost like a ghost, but in fact there is still a glimmer of hope for life, Pei Anzu said. Zhou Ji looked ugly. In other words, she can still survive. Yes, Pei Anzu nodded, I will find her body and send her soul into it. She will probably wake up in 7 days. In other words, Lu Xiaoting can still survive, and she will continue to appear in their lives. Because Lu Xiaoting is so enthusiastic, even if her soul leaves her body, she still wants to get close to Zhou Ji. When she wakes up, she might do something crazy. Add WeChat, King Zhu immortal lord Zhou Ji took out his mobile phone and said, if she is alive, I am not afraid of what she will do. I am afraid that she will have other tricks. It's time to trouble you again. Pei Anzu nodded, exchanged contact information with Zhou Ji, and then said, after receiving your money, I will naturally do things for you. If anything happens to Lu Xiaoting again in the future, Just come to me. In addition, I will give you a few talismans to prevent those monsters from getting close. You can distribute them to people close to you to prevent them from being confused and hurt. After saying this, Pei Anzu took out a few talismans from his bag and handed them over. Zhou Jiyi took it carefully and then thanked him. Subsequently, Pei Anzu spoke again. Fang Kik, as well as Zhang Duoduo and Chen Miao Miao before, are all people who are haunted by living souls. Although they are living souls, they also have yin energy, which will have an impact on your lives. Not only does it affect health, but people may continue to be unlucky, so I will also give you a talisman to carry with you after 49 days, you can completely dispel the yin energy and return to normal. Pei Anzu handed the talisman to Fang Kik, and then took 2 more to Zhou Jiyi and asked him to pass them to Zhang Duoduo and Chen Miao Miao. It can be said that the 2 girls are also victims, and the source is Zhou Jiyi. He must be going to deal with the aftermath, so he can explain the cause and effect to them, and then hand the yellow talisman to them. Zhou Jiyi held the talisman and sighed. You are still thoughtful, I will handle the follow-up of this matter and try to make up for them. In the final analysis, these girls just want to live. It is understandable that they would do these things because their lives were threatened by mysterious existence. You have done everything well and I believe you will handle it well. We won't stay any longer and say goodbye. After Pei Anzu finished speaking, he stood up and left. Zhou Jiyi looked at the sky and said, It's getting late today, let's have a night's rest before going back. I'll take you to the hotel. No, I have a house in Songcheng. I'll live there. Pei Anzu refused. She and Shen Yueran left, and Fang Kik also packed his luggage and left from Zhou's house. Fang Kik moved in just to capture Zhou Jiyi. Now she doesn't need to capture Zhou Jiyi, and her life is not in danger, so it's time for her to leave. She has to go to her previous boyfriend, apologize to him, explain everything, and see if there is any hope of getting back together. Zhou Jiyi was busy dealing with the aftermath and paid no attention to Lu Xiaoting's life or death for the time being. After Pei Anzu and Shen Yueran left Zhou's house, they took a taxi to their destination. Sister Pei, I remember you are from Pingcheng. Why do you also have a house in Songcheng? Shen Yueran asked. A customer gave it to me before. Pei Anzu explained. I haven't been there yet, so I just took advantage of this opportunity to check out that house today. The house in Songcheng was given to me by the Ma family before. It was after Pei Anzu helped Li Yuanyuan, Ma Jiajia, and Lu Xinyi deal with the ghost babies in the elephant country. The Ma family gave her a school district room. The key has been given to her. This time she knew she was coming to Songcheng, so she brought the key with her. According to the Ma family at the time, the house was well decorated and fully furnished with furniture and appliances, so you could move in with just your luggage. Pei Anzu and Shen Yueran arrived at the school district room and entered the door. They found that all the furniture and appliances inside were well covered with dust-proof cloths. After removing the dust-proof cloths, the whole room was neat and brand new. The 2 of them walked around the house and got familiar with the layout. It was a very standard 3-bedroom and 2 living room. Except for the empty refrigerator, everything else was there. Pei Anzu and Shen Yueran are not very good at cooking, but fortunately this is a school district room and the surrounding business district is complete, so they went out to find a small restaurant for a meal. After returning again, Pei Anzu released Lu Xiaoting from the talisman. Lu Xiaoting gave Pei Anzu a hard look. Pei Anzu stared at her for a long time and then asked, Want to live? Lu Xiaoting was stunned. What do you mean? You really think I can't tell who you are, right? A living soul has left the body using some unscrupulous means. When the time comes, you can go back and live again, Pei Anzu said word by word. Lu Xiaoting's face was not as calm as before. She thought Pei Anzu didn't know this. She thought Pei Anzu regarded her as a real ghost, so she was not afraid at all at first. As long as she delays time and waits until she returns to her own body, then she is a human being, and killing is illegal. No matter how powerful Pei Anzu is, he will not dare to do anything to her. However, it was discovered that she was a living soul. "What do you want?" Lu Xiaoting asked. "Guess, is there anything I can do to prevent you from going back?" Pei Anzu smiled. "If you can't go back when the time comes, what will you become?" After saying this, Pei Anzu struck Lu Xiaoting with a pinch. Soon, she felt that she had lost the connection with her body. Without this connection, she could not go back. Her face turned pale, and she finally realized how terrifying Pei Anzu was. This young metaphysician could kill her with just a flick of his finger. Seeing that she was frightened, Pei Anzu nodded with satisfaction, and then continued. "If you want to live, then answer my question obediently. Tell me, where did you get the method of reviving the soul and leaving the body?" The living soul leaves the body. This is not something that can be done casually. Either those with relatively mild horoscopes are severely frightened or seriously injured, and may be separated from the body. Either someone used metaphysical means to deliberately cause the soul to leave the body. And Lu Xiaoting is obviously the second type. But she is not a member of Taoism. Her method of soul rebirth and separation from the body should have come from somewhere else. This is what Pei Anzu wants to continue to investigate. This person is quite capable. He helped Lu Xiaoting to regenerate her soul and leave her body to harm others. This shows that this person is not an orthodox Taoist practitioner. He is probably an unscrupulous person. Pei Anzu will not allow such people to do bad things. Lu Xiaoting didn't want to say anything at first. She originally wanted to get Jiao and use this information to negotiate terms with Pei Anzu. But who knew, Pei Anzu didn't care at all. She directly imprisoned Lu Xiaoting's soul in place so that she couldn't go anywhere, and then went to the study room with Shen Yueran. "You just wait here to die," Pei Anzu said. "When the time comes, if you still can't go back, your living soul will become a dead soul, and someone will come here to pick you up." Lu Xiaoting's lips trembled. She didn't expect that Pei Anzu wouldn't even talk about it. If she didn't want to talk, he would just let her wait for death. It was simply terrible. "I say," she compromised, "I'll tell you everything and you let me live." Pei Anzu smiled. "It would have been better if it had been like this, if you had to force me to use means." After speaking, she sat down on the sofa and signaled to Lu Xiaoting that she could speak. Lu Xiaoting organized her thoughts and spoke slowly. "I don't know how to resurrect my soul and leave my body, but I know there is someone who can help me realize my wish." 3 months ago, Zhou Jiyi and Zhou Jiyi officially established their relationship. Zhou Jiyi showed off to us in the dormitory. I hated her so much that I didn't want to hear her show off her affection at all. I like Zhou Jiyi, and I want him, but I don't want to be good looking. My face is full of acne, my family background is not good, I come from a mountainous countryside, I dare not confess to him, I am afraid that everyone will laugh at me. But I'm not willing to give in. I remembered something my grandma told me when I was a child. She said there is a living in our village. As long as we pray sincerely, he will help us fulfill our wishes. I didn't believe it when I was a kid, but my grandma gave me some examples. The uncle next door's family was very poor. He wanted to become rich, so he went to pray to the gods. As a result, he was hit by someone when he went out not long after. Opposite him was a rich second-generation man who not only helped him pay for the medical expenses and cured his leg, but also he compensated him with 300,000 yuan, and he became rich from then on, built a big house, and married a wife. Another sister in the village had a patriarchal family. Her parents wanted to sell her off in exchange for a bride price. She wanted to continue studying, but her grades were not good, so she also prayed to the gods. Later she became very smart, and her academic performance ranked first. One person was interviewed by the county. After she became famous, her family no longer dared to take any chances with her. When I thought about this, I thought I could pray to the gods, so I returned to my hometown. I didn't expect there was a god, and he helped me. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 144. Chapter 144 Julipo Hometown. In fact, Lu Xiaoting was dubious about the so-called at first. It's just that her obsession with Zhou Jiyi was too deep. Although she was not sure whether there were real gods, she still went to pray, and then everything happened. Shen Yueran couldn't help but sneer after hearing the whole story. Where are the gods in the world? This so-called god, in my opinion, is just a villain hiding in the dark who specializes in doing bad things. If this is your way of fulfilling your wishes, then I think other people in your village must have done a lot of evil, right? Lu Xiaoting was ridiculed and could only remain silent. After hearing these words, Pei Anzu sighed. There are gods in this world, otherwise she wouldn't have worked so hard to cultivate and ascend. It's just that gods don't care about these trivial matters, and everyone's fate is determined. If gods really interfere randomly, they will be burdened with cause and effect, which will harm the Taoist heart. But what Shen Yueran said later was right. There must be something wrong with the gods in Lu Xiaoting's village. Pei Anzu thought of this and said to Lu Xiaoting, "Your body should be in your hometown, right?" Yes, Lu Xiaoting nodded, "I am the only one left at home. No one will find me in there." When the living soul leaves the body, the physical body looks as if it is dead, with no breathing or heartbeat. If there is someone in the family, and if she cannot be saved, she will be treated as a sudden death, and a funeral will be held for her, or she will be directly cremated. If it comes to that, she will really not be able to go back. Fortunately, there was no one at home, and no one would find her hiding there. Moreover, there was a time limit for the soul to leave the body. She would go back every once in a while to ensure that there was no problem with her physical body. Pei Anzu nodded and said, "This time, I will personally send you back, and then break the soul regenerating and body removing technique in your body. It cuts off Lu Xiaoting's way of turning into a ghost and allows her to live in this world as a human being. As long as she is a human being, Zhou Jiyi has a way to prevent her from doing something excessive." Lu Xiaoting knew that as long as she could return to her body and survive, that would be the best outcome. "Stay one night first, and we'll set off early tomorrow morning," Pei Anzu said, and asked for the address of Lu Xiaoting's hometown, and then put her into the talisman. Then she turned to Shen Yueran and said, "Lu Xiaoting's hometown village doesn't look like a good place, so don't come with me. I'll take you to the airport early tomorrow morning and you can go back to Yunqing." When Shen Yueran heard this, he immediately looked at her with a pitiful expression, gently pulled her sleeves and said coquettishly, "Sister Pei, I want to go with you, just let me follow you. I promise to be obedient and not cause trouble. I just want to see it with my own eyes, okay? But if you stay with me, I have to ensure your safety." Pei Anzu frowned. It's not that she is not confident in her own strength. She is sure that she can protect Shen Yueran. It's just that it's not as convenient as having someone by her side. "I don't need your protection. I'll call Xiao Hong to accompany me, and then ask you to give me an amulet." Shen Yueran said the solution, "Please, Sister Pei, just promise me." Pei Anzu couldn't stand her persuasion, so he had no choice but to agree. Shen Yueran immediately called back and asked someone to bring the fox fairy Qian over to her, and they would take them to the village together. So the Shen family sent someone to send the fox over overnight. The Shen family is absolutely assured of Pei Anzu. Even if Shen Yueran wanted to take the risk, Shen Qinghe and the others would not stop him because they believed in Pei Anzu. Late at night, the two of them finished washing and found their own rooms to sleep. Early in the morning, after having breakfast, they set off. Lu Xiaoting's hometown is in Songcheng, which is just a remote small county under the jurisdiction of Songcheng. Pei Anzu and the others took the little fox with them, and it was difficult to take public transportation, so they found a place to rent a car, and the two of them, one fox and one ghost, set off towards their destination. From prosperous places to remote places, from cities to counties, from towns to villages, from people coming and going to inaccessible places. After 5 hours of driving, we arrived at Lu Xiaoting's hometown, a place called Julapo. The place names here are very random. Different villages are named by numbers according to their distance from the town. From 1-mile slope to 33-mile slope, they extend deep into the mountains, as if there is no end in sight. The straight line distance between Julapo and the town is close, but the road is not easy to walk. The mountain road has many twists and turns. At first, you can hear the voices of passers-by, but in the end, there are only the chirping of insects and the chirping of birds, and you don't know where you are in the deep forest. Finally arriving at the place, Pei Anzu released Lu Xiaoting and asked her to show the way. "I'll go to your house first and let you return to your soul. The independent house on the west side, on the far edge, is my family's house," Lu Xiaoting pointed. Everyone walked towards the house. The layout of the houses in Julapo is very messy and irregular. It seems that when people first built the house, they didn't plan it carefully. They just allocated the land they liked and used it directly. In any case, there are abundant land resources in the mountains, and no one cares about using them as you like. You can build the house as you like, and build it as big as you want. Therefore, there is no straight and horizontal road in the village. When entering from the outside, there are all kinds of paths, and almost every section can lead to the door of a certain house. Lu Xiaoting's home is no exception. Led by Lu Xiaoting, they avoided almost all the gates of every house and arrived at their destination without seeing any other villagers along the way. No wonder Lu Xiaoting was able to hide here for so long. Although it is a village, the residents are sparse, and she deliberately avoided it, so almost no one knew that she was back. 3 people entered Lu Xiaoting's house. The house is old and the environment is not very good, but it is clean and tidy. It seems that Lu Xiaoting has taken care of it. At this time, her body was lying in the bedroom on the 2nd floor. Pei Anzu went to check it out and found that her physical body was still full of vitality, and her soul was not sluggish because she had been away from her body for too long. She was immediately relieved. She let Lu Xiaoting return to her body, and placed a restriction on her body so that she could no longer leave her soul. At the same time, it was also a kind of surveillance on her, so that she could not inform the so-called God. Shen Yuan was a little reluctant when she saw Lu Xiaoting regaining consciousness. She caused so many troubles around Zhou Jiyi, and yet she escaped unscathed and could not be punished. It's so unfair. Lu Xiaoting was delighted when she heard this. She knew that nothing would happen. After returning to the body, who could prove that she pretended to be a system sabotage? The police couldn't convict her. Who said she won't be punished? Pei Anzu smiled reassuringly. What she received was invisible punishment. Lu Xiaoting's face turned pale. "You are talking nonsense." Pei Anzu laughed at her naivete. "You don't really think that you don't have to pay the price for living as a soul and leaving the body, do you? If it were so easy, everyone would run away from the soul, and then use the soul body to do bad things without being seen by others. Wouldn't the world be like that? A mess. It seems like there is nothing wrong with you now, but in fact there are 2 major hidden dangers. First, after your soul leaves your body once, it is not as stable as before. If you are frightened or injured, it is easy for your soul to leave again, but at that time, you may not still retain your consciousness. People have 3 souls and 7 souls. If any soul is lost, it may not be recovered. Then the person will have problems. He may become dementia, he may become irritable, in short, he will not be normal or healthy. Second, although you did not kill anyone, what you did ultimately had a bad impact on other people, and in this way you bear the sin of bad karma. Your merits and virtues will also be reduced, your luck will become worse, Your body will become weak, and your life will be miserable. Even if you should have smooth sailing for the rest of your life, you will become unlucky after that. Of course, these are all under the premise that you are alive. If you die, the debt will have to be settled separately. You must pay off this debt of karma before you are eligible to be reincarnated. In short, if you make one mistake, you will lose everything from birth to death. It is not up to you. After hearing these words, Shen Yuan was finally happy. If you do something wrong, you have to pay the price. This has been a truth since ancient times. Lu Xiaoting's face looked very ugly. She didn't want to be like Pei Anzu said, but she had no choice. No, maybe there is a way. She can go to the gods for help. The gods are so powerful that they can help anyone realize their wishes. Maybe they can deal with this King Zhu Immortal Lord? As long as King Zhu Immortal Lord is dead or disabled, she no longer has to be afraid, and maybe she can still be with Zhou Jiyi. Thinking of this, Lu Xiaoting lowered her head and hid the look in her eyes, not wanting others to find out what she was thinking. After a long time, she raised her head. There is no one living in the house all year round, and there is very little food. I brought some when I came back last time, but it was not enough for 3 people. You need to go out and find food by yourself. Where to find it? Shen Yuan asked. On the mountain, Lu Xiaoting said. There are wild vegetables on the mountain, you can also hunt, and there are also fruits. What you can find depends on your luck. Pei Anzu didn't need to eat, but Shen Yuan was an ordinary person, so after counting the food stored in Lu Xiaoting's home, they decided to go find food. However, it was very tiring for them to travel all the way, so they did not go out for the time being. Instead, they made do with the ingredients in the house and made some simple food. After the 3 of them shared their meal, they took another nap to recharge their batteries. It was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon before they went out under the leadership of Lu Xiaoting. Lu Xiaoting led the way, but there were no accidents. The village was sparsely populated, and it seemed that no one liked to go out. They didn't meet anyone else along the way. After arriving at the mountain, Lu Xiaoting said, "This forest is very big, and the distribution of food ingredients is also very scattered. If you want to find more things, it's best to go separately." Shen Yuan was about to speak out to object, but was stopped by Pei Anzu. "Okay, let's split up. Then I'll dig wild vegetables over there." After Lu Xiaoting finished speaking, she turned around and left. When she was far away, Shen Yuan spoke. "Sister Pei, why do you let her act alone? What if she is not honest and goes to complain to that in the mountains? Aren't we going to catch her by surprise?" "What I want is for her to complain." Pei Anzu smiled. "Follow her and you can find the location of the evil god, right? Pei Anzu is here to slay demons, not to have fun in the countryside. If this matter can be resolved today, she can take Shen Yuan to the town for a good meal in the evening. Why do we need to dig wild vegetables here?" Shen Yuan understood what she meant, felt happy and said quickly, "Then let's catch up quickly, she's already gone far away, and we'll lose her soon." End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 145. Chapter 145. The Statue in the Cave. "It's okay, just stick with me," Pei Anzu said. She is now a monk. Although she is still in the qi refining stage, it is enough for her to open up her consciousness and see clearly every move within a 10-mile radius. The 2 of them followed Lu Xiaoting from a distance, with Shen Yuan still holding the red fur fox in her arms. As Pei Anzu walked, he whispered to her. The she talks about is very evil, and he was able to keep her soul out of the body for such a long time without losing her mind. Her ability should not be weak. When we get there later, take Xiao Hong and stand far away to avoid being accidentally injured during the fight, and Xiao Hong will also protect you." "Okay." Shen Yuan nodded seriously. At this time, the red-furred fox was not happy. It emphasized again with a serious face. My name is Chi Yan, not Xiao Hong. I know, Xiao Hong, please calm down. Shen Yuan directly pinched its mouth and shut it up manually. The little fox rolled his eyes and almost rolled his eyes to the sky, but at this time, he was only a fox. Aggrieved, sad. Lu Xiaoting walked zigzag in the forest for about 10 minutes and came to the foot of a mountain far away from the village. She pushed aside the vines on the cliff and revealed a cave that could be passed by one person. She got in. Pei Anzu did not hesitate. After the other party entered, she followed him. Shen Yuan hugged the fox and followed closely. The cave is very dark, with only a little light shining through the gaps between the vines. This makes the cave not completely invisible, but it still affects walking. Lu Xiaoting walked very smoothly. She must have been here many times and is very familiar with this place. Pei Anzu doesn't need to use his eyes to see, he can walk very steadily based on his perception. Only Shen Yuan, as an ordinary person, had a hard time walking crookedly, but she had a way. She took out her phone, turned down the brightness, and used the weak light on the screen to illuminate her feet. At least this will prevent her from tripping over rocks. The cave is very deep, like a long passage. It took about 2 or 3 minutes of walking to reach the end. Pei Anzu and Shen Yuan used the protrusions of the mountain wall in the cave to shield themselves from Lu Xiaoting's discovery. They stood there quietly, observing Lu Xiaoting's every move. It should be darker at the end of the cave, but it was illuminated by candles at this time. It should be that the villagers of Julipo often come to worship, so lighting tools were specially placed here. Lu Xiaoting lit the candles and illuminated the world inside. There is a stone platform there, which borders the mountain wall in the cave. It looks like a man-made altar, and there is a statue on the altar. The wooden statue is about 2 feet tall and looks very weird. He has a round head with no hair, but a pair of eyes as big and protruding as a frog, and a pointed mouth, like the beak of some kind of bird. Looking down, the body is also round. The layers of meat on the belly are clearly visible, and there is a belly button on each layer. The distribution is irregular, which makes people feel goosebumps. Looking further down, you can see the base of the statue, which is its feet, like duck-like flippers, with the fingers connected together. In short, at first glance, I have no idea what this thing is. It's even more unlikable than unlike. Shen Yuan felt extremely sick after just one glance. She covered her mouth to prevent herself from spitting out. Pei Anzu is not surprised. After all, there are demon cultivators and devil cultivators in the world of cultivation who have all kinds of weird shapes. For her, this statue is still being tolerated. Her main attention is on Lu Xiaoting. Lu Xiaoting was seen kneeling in front of the statue, kowtowing respectfully a few times, then took out a utility knife from her body, stretched out her arm, and slashed her wrist with the knife. Soon, blood flowed out. Lu Xiaoting stood up and dripped the blood on the statue. At this moment, the statue seemed to come to life. It was obviously made of wood, but it looked like it was crawling all over, like a disgusting mass of rotten meat. Immediately afterwards, the rotten flesh sucked in Lu Xiaoting's blood. The blood that was originally attached to the surface of the statue continued to seep into it, and then slowly disappeared. This action lasted for a full minute. Lu Xiaoting's blood has contributed enough, and the statue stopped squirming and returned to the appearance of a wood carving. It was as smooth as new and there was no trace of being stained by blood. Lu Xiaoting breathed a sigh of relief, stopped bleeding, took out a strip of cloth from her body and tied the wound, and knelt in front of the statue again. The next second, a cloud of black gas emerged from the statue, getting thicker and thicker, and gradually condensed and formed above the statue's head, turning into a sphere. Not long after, facial features appeared on the sphere. His eyes fell on Lu Xiaoting, and she spoke. "It's you again, my faithful believer, do you have any other wishes?" Hearing the sound, Lu Xiaoting raised her head in surprise and said piously, God, please help me. Last time I made a wish to change my identity and be with Zhou Jiyi, you helped me, but before I could achieve my ultimate goal, someone sabotaged it. I met a female Taoist priest who could draw talismans. She saw through my disguise, caught me out, and revealed the truth about my soul leaving my body. Not only that, she also wants to deal with you. She said you are a god. She followed me to the village to find out your true identity. I got rid of her before coming to report the news. God, I will always be your most loyal believer. Please help me. After hearing Lu Xiaoting's words, the black ball suddenly expanded and became angry. Oh, in this world where Suanmen is in decline, there are still people from Suanmen who can unlock my spell. Humph, I'm not overestimating my abilities, I'd rather know how to do it with her. My faithful believer, I will give you strength, bring her to me. The aura-filled flesh and blood of a person in Suanmen has always been the best tonic. If I can swallow her, then I can escape from this place. When the time comes, my strength will increase and I will give you more protection. The smile on Lu Xiaoting's face could hardly be hidden. She has never thought about why the immortal needs to drink her blood to awaken, let alone why this monster is trapped here. She only knows that as her strength increases, she can do whatever she wants. As long as Pei Anzu is eliminated, no one can stop her. Please give me strength, and I will definitely bring her here to dedicate her to you, Lu Xiaoting said. A wisp of black energy emerged from the black ball, drifting towards Lu Xiaoting, and then sank into her eyebrows, as if it was inputting some energy. Pei Anzu observed there for a long time, observing the entire statue and the situation of the entire cave clearly. After having a clue in her mind, she took the initiative to show up. No need to go to such trouble, I came here myself, Lu Xiaoting. I didn't expect you to refuse to change your ways and try to use evil power to achieve your goals. I just want to get what I want. What's wrong with me? Lu Xiaoting glared at her. I will follow whoever can make my wish come true. Shen Yuan couldn't help it anymore. She ran out and yelled. Disgusting. Trash. Zhou Jiyi is really bad luck for 8 lifetimes because you like him. You are like that bed bug in the gutter, you can only do evil in secret. Unexpectedly, Miss Qinjin, who has always been elegant and innocent, would actually curse at others. This was an eye-opener for Pei Anzu. I said, everything comes at a price. Do you think it is really protecting you? When your blood runs out and you die, you will have nothing. Pei Anzu was giving his final advice. The Lu Xiaoting in front of her was just like the fallen evil cultivators Pei Anzu had encountered in the world of cultivation in the past. She took a wrong path in a single thought and eventually suffered the consequences. After traveling to this world, Pei Anzu mostly dealt with ghosts. Other than the Elephant Kingdom Surrender Master whom I met last time when I came to Songcheng, Lu Xiaoting was the second person to choose the evil camp. But Lu Xiaoting is different from the head-down master. The hands of the head officer have long been stained with blood, and they have committed countless murders that cannot be washed away. However, Lu Xiaoting's body is still clean, and she has not taken any human life. So, Pei Anzu is trying hard to persuade Lu Xiaoting to turn back to avoid catastrophe. But Lu Xiaoting didn't listen. She sneered and said, "You just stand and talk without pain. You have such ability. Of course you can accuse me from the moral high ground, but I have nothing. I just want to be with the person I like. I will do anything for this goal. I am not wrong. You are all here to stop me, so I can only get rid of these obstacles like you. You came just in time, and delivered it to your door yourself, saving me from trying to trick you into coming here. Today is the day you die. There are many kinds of evil people. Some people are born with bad qualities and are evil in their bones. Such people have done all kinds of bad things and are full of evil. Even death is not enough to atone for their sins. But some people get stuck in a dead end because of a sudden thought. They may not be bad, and they have no intention of retaliating against society, but they will do whatever it takes to achieve their goals. Lu Xiaoting is the second type. In the first 20 years of her life, she went to school step by step. Like many ordinary people, she could have gone to work after graduation and entered the society. But it happened that she met Zhou Jiyi, and it became her obsession. Zhou Jiyi never belonged to her, and the direction of her efforts was wrong, but she never reflected on it and only wanted to rely on absolute power to achieve her goal. Seeing that he could no longer persuade him, Pei Anzu sighed. I gave you a chance, but if you don't want it, don't blame me for being rude. After finishing speaking, Pei Anzu took out a handful of talismans from his bag and threw them at the black ball. The talismans seemed to have eyes, sticking straight to its body. Soon, the black ball turned into a yellow ball, and the black line that sank into Lu Xiaoting's eyebrows was cut off. The talisman breaks all things, blow it up for me. As Pei Anzu completed the seal, the yellow talisman on the black ball flashed with golden light, forming a huge protective cover around the periphery, isolating the black ball inside. Then, with a bang, it exploded. Golden red flames were burning, and through the flickering flames, one could see the black ball being blown to pieces, and heart-rending screams resounded in the cave. But the black ball is ultimately a ball of black gas and can change into any shape. It broke into pieces and spread out, avoiding the burning of the flames and running around in this protective shield. However, the power of this talisman was too great. No matter how it tried to avoid it, it was still swallowed up by the flames step by step. However, it is also a fortune teller, and it lasts until the moment when the talisman burns out and the flame disappears. Although there was only a wisp of black air left in the end, it was not completely eliminated. It took the opportunity to get back into the body of the statue and never came out no matter what. Lu Xiaoting looked on in shock. She really didn't expect that such a powerful in her heart could not make a single move in Pei Anzu's hands. Those heart-rending screams were like magic sounds, resounding in her ears. She looked at Pei Anzu with a shocked look. How could this young girl be so powerful even though she looks about the same age? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 146. Pei Anzu didn't care what Lu Xiaoting thought, she just felt that this evil thing must be solved today, so she turned her head and said to Shen Yueran. Little Moon, take her out. After clearing the field, Pei Anzu could let go of his hands and feet and have a good fight without worrying about accidentally injuring the onlookers. Okay, Shen Yueran responded, grabbed Lu Xiaoting's hand, turned around and left. Lu Xiaoting originally wanted to struggle, but the little fox protector jumped directly onto her shoulders and aimed his mouth at the aorta in her neck. Get out or I'll eat you. It is an incredible thing for a fox to speak human words. Lu Xiaoting was afraid that she would really die, so she had no choice but to leave the cave honestly. Soon, the cave became quiet, and only Pei Anzu and the evil who turned into a wooden sculpture were left. Pei Anzu stared at the wood carving several times. Do you think I can't do anything to you if you hide inside? After finishing her words, she looked around the cave, collected the scattered dead branches and leaves on the ground, and piled them in front of the statue. Then she took out a handful of talismans and placed them on the dead branches. He took a candle from the stone platform, lit the talisman, and started the fire. Soon the place turned into a fire. She took the statue off the altar and threw it into the fire. Burn the container you are in, and you should be able to show up, right? The fire lit by the talisman was not an ordinary fire. The wooden sculpture only lasted less than 2 seconds in the fire before it was surrounded by flames and began to burn. Soon, a strange smell came from the cave, like the smell of burning corpses. The wooden sculpture was devoured by the flames and became unrecognizable, and soon only half of it was left. The evil was forced to come out of the statue, hovering in the air, and shouted, "I have no enmity with you, why do you want to kill me? If you don't like me helping that girl from before, then I won't help her. Why be so aggressive and leave no room for others to survive?" Pei Anzu stared at the black air and sneered. "Evil sects and crooked ways will be punished by everyone. You are entrenched here and have done a lot of evil, right? As a member of the Taoist sect, how can I allow you to continue to harm living beings?" Heike argued. "I was sealed here and slept for a long time. I only woke up in the past 20 years. This place is remote and sparsely populated. Even if I have the intention, I can't harm many people. Even criminals have a chance to reform, right? Why don't you give me a chance to reform?" This is true. The people who can be bewitched by black energy are the villagers of Julapo. However, the number of villagers is limited, and all they want is to be promoted, get rich, and marry a wife, so it has not caused much consequences yet. However, it feeds on human blood, which is itself a counterpath. Pei Anzu was not deceived by him and just said calmly, "I don't believe you will change your ways. Don't think that I don't know who you are. You are a demonic cultivator who has been sealed here, right? Even if you say that you demons have changed to do good, even ghosts won't believe it." After identifying the other party's identity, the dark tone changed, becoming sinister and terrifying. "You know the magic cultivator, who are you? This mass of black energy has been awakened for more than 20 years. Although it cannot move, its energy has slowly increased due to the faith and blood of the villagers of Julapo, and it has also gained some understanding of the world. Today is no longer the era in his memory when golden elixirs were as numerous as dogs and nascent souls were everywhere. The spiritual energy in the air was pitifully thin, and the people who cultivated immortals had long since disappeared. It originally thought that, relying on its own memory and abilities, it would be able to break free of the seal and flex its muscles in this age of law ending as long as it lay dormant for a few more decades. However, he didn't expect that he would suddenly encounter such a tough opponent and actually know about the existence of the demon cultivator. "You don't need to know who I am, you just need to know that I am here to send you on your way," Pei Anzu said. "I don't know why you are sealed here, but in this era, there is no need for the existence of demon cultivators." After saying this, Pei Anzu took action. She now has no weapons at hand, so she can only use the talisman as a formation to trap the black energy inside so that the opponent cannot come out. She has killed many demonic cultivators, and she has also destroyed many demonic cultivators' spiritual consciousness, so she knows their opponent's weaknesses. But the spiritual energy here was thin, so she could only mobilize the spiritual energy stored in her body, coupled with the power of merit, to completely strangle this spiritual consciousness. Black Chi could not avoid it, and he faced the blow forcefully, but he still did not die. Pei Anzu's face turned serious. Too weak. If it were in the world of cultivation, the move she just made would not only completely strangle the opponent, but even the demon cultivators within a 10-mile radius would not be able to escape. But here, perhaps because of insufficient spiritual energy or insufficient cultivation, the power of this blow was greatly reduced. Even if it severely injured the opponent, it still left a glimmer of hope for the opponent. This is the first time in Pei Anzu's life that he has felt troublesome. Demon cultivators are not ghosts, and many means of killing ghosts are ineffective. Talismans and merits can only be used as auxiliaries, and only mana can be used to deal with them. But unfortunately, she is currently in the chi refining period and does not have enough spiritual energy. Everyone in the world of cultivation knows that demonic cultivators are like weaklings who cannot be killed. If they cannot be completely eradicated, they can escape as long as they have a trace of consciousness and soul left. then eat the flesh and blood of innocent people to replenish themselves and live again. Heichi escaped from death, and when he saw Pei Anzu frowning, he burst into laughter. Don't waste your efforts, you can't kill me. I admit that you are very powerful, but little girl, with your current cultivation level, you want to kill me completely, and you have done some research. Do you know why? Because there is a spiritual pearl that is sealed with me. Ha 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 ha, little girl, do you know what the Ling Yuan pearl is? Do you know what its use is? As long as it is there and as long as I have breath, I will never die. After hearing this, Pei Anzu's serious expression suddenly relaxed and she smiled. I see. The Ling Yuan pearl is the most precious treasure in the world of cultivation. It can store and nourish spiritual consciousness and soul as long as there is still breath. It can also bring people back. It can be said that with it, it is equal to one more chance to save life. Heike was a little surprised, but he quickly reacted. You know a lot. But what's the use? You can never kill me, you can only let me lie dormant here and grow stronger as time goes by. Who said I can't kill you? Pei Anzu's eyes were sarcastic. You have already tried it, haven't you? Heike probably thought that he would not die, so he was confident and relaxed. Give up, or cooperate with me. Pei Anzu ignored its provocation and just said. I can't kill you, not because you are so powerful, but because you happen to be sealed with the Ling Yuan pearl, and you happen to be just a piece of divine consciousness that can replenish your power from the Ling Yuan pearl at any time. But what if, you don't have the Ling Yuan pearl? What do you mean you want to take away the Ling Yuan pearl? Heike was stunned, and then laughed, ha 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 ha, this is even more whimsical. To take away the Ling Yuan pearl, you must break the seal, and once the seal is broken, open it and I will be free. As long as the seal is broken, it can take the opportunity to escape. It is just a ray of spiritual consciousness that can be stored anywhere. Even a passing bird may become its carrier. By that time, the sky and the earth will be so vast that Pei Anzu may not be able to find it. So, it bets that she doesn't dare. After Heichi figured this out, he felt completely relieved. He didn't think he would die at the hands of this girl, so he looked at her leisurely, as if waiting for her to make a choice. In its view, this girl has been caught in a dilemma. But who knew? Pei Anzu also laughed silently, her tone was cold. Yeah. After she finished speaking, she ignored the black energy and began to break the seal. In fact, she had already observed it since she entered the cave. This seal is not something profound. In the world of cultivation, anyone who is proficient in formations can break it. The person who was sealed with such a crude formation was obviously not a powerful person. More importantly, if you are in the world of cultivation, there is no need to use sealing formations to deal with demonic cultivators. Righteous monks have enough means to eradicate demonic cultivators. So she guessed that this sealing formation should be left over from many years ago in this world, when Suanman had not yet completely declined. The demonic cultivator, who is nothing in the world of cultivation, is indeed more difficult to deal with in this world. If the predecessors of this world did not have a way to completely kill the demon cultivator, then in order to prevent it from doing evil again, sealing it is the best way. Based on this information, Pei Anzu made the most basic judgment in his mind. She can break the seal, and this demon cultivator's spiritual sense is not difficult to deal with either. Although she is only in the chi refining period now, she is a body of merit and has many treasures in her hands, such as the iron chains, compasses and meteorite iron knives that she harvested in Hanjiakan. She was confident that after unlocking the seal, she would prevent the demon cultivator from escaping and annihilate them in one fell swoop. Pei Anzu estimated the chance of winning this matter in her mind, and it was almost 100%, so she felt that she could take action. But just to be on the safe side, she still made some arrangements. First of all, a spiritual energy full of murderous intent is released, frightening all the birds and beasts within 100 miles of this place and keeping them away. At the same time, all kinds of insects nearby are killed without leaving a trace. Secondly, the iron chains were infused with spiritual energy and placed in the direction of the cave's exit. The compass was activated and shrouded the sky above the ceiling formation. The talisman was used to form an formation, turning all directions up, down, left, south, east, and west into cages, so that the ground could be defended in all directions without leakage. Finally, the meteorite knife was taken out from the dantian, holding the handle of the knife with both hands, and struck hard towards the seal. The blade is sharp, and the cold sword energy spurts out, landing directly on the eye of the sealing formation. With a click, the seal broke. Heike didn't expect that Pei Anzu would actually have the courage to break the seal. He was stunned for a moment, then immediately seized the opportunity and wanted to rush out. But because Pei Anzu's protective measures were so perfect, it couldn't get out at all. During the few breaths it was trying to escape, Pei Anzu had found the Ling Yuan pearl and held it in his hand. It's just that the green Ling Yuan pearl that Pei Anzu had in mind has been dyed black. Probably because he has been with this demonic cultivator for many years and has been infected by the demonic energy. Although he still has the ability to cultivate his spiritual consciousness and soul, it is very little. It needs to be restored in a place with sufficient spiritual energy. Pei Anzu immediately thought of the mountain of the Feng family. When the time comes to marry her with the Ling Yuan pearl, you can nourish it with spiritual energy. With the Ling Yuan pearl in hand, now is the time to deal with this demon cultivating consciousness. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 147. Chapter 147. The little fox protects the master. Outside the cave, Shen Yuan was waiting there. The little fox was still lying on Lu Xiaoting's shoulder, with its mouth wide open, ready to bite her aorta at any time, threatening her enough. Lu Xiaoting looked ugly, but she still spoke unconvinced. The gods never lose. Humph. My sister Pei will never lose, Shen Yuan retorted, that of yours is no match for my sister Pei. As soon as the two people finished speaking, they heard a loud roar, and then the ground shook, and rocks rolled down from the mountain and hit the entrance of the cave. Looking back, I saw that a piece of the cave entrance had collapsed. Shen Yuan's face was full of worry, but Lu Xiaoting smiled. I knew that the gods would not lose. How could such a big battle be man-made? The gods must have shown their power. Your sister will definitely die in it. If you don't believe it, just wait and see. Shen Yuan glanced at her and said nothing, but she couldn't hide the worry on her face. The little fox saw this and comforted him. Don't listen to her. Pei Anzu is not that easy to die. She has great merits and is the darling of heaven. God's own daughter, I wish I could give her all the good luck in the world. With these words from the little fox, Shen Yuan's anxious heart finally calmed down. In a cave, Heike took advantage of Pei Anzu to get the Ling Yuan pearl and was ready to escape, but because the defense was too tight, it couldn't escape immediately. With this short delay, Pei Anzu had already freed up his hands. She put away the Ling Yuan pearl, carried the meteor iron sword, and struck at the black air. She used all her strength to do this move. These days, the spiritual energy that has been accumulated with great difficulty is being consumed rapidly, and all of it is concentrated on this killing move, making sure that the demonic cultivator's spiritual consciousness has no place to die. This knife hit. There was another roaring explosion on the mountain. The blade broke through the stone wall, and the rocks rolled down. Dust was everywhere, blocking the view. By the time the smoke and dust dissipated, the black air had disappeared without a trace. Pei Anzu was sure that she had indeed hit with the previous knife. The black energy was crushed into powder by the force of the knife, and there was no chance of survival. This is the biggest movement she has made against the enemy since she traveled through time. Before, whether it was a ghost or a head-dropping master, she could easily defeat the opponent with just a few moves. Only this time, she used the knife to cultivate her spiritual consciousness. The rumbling sound on the mountain attracted the attention of the villagers of Julipo. They all walked out of their houses and looked towards the source of the sound. What's going on? Is there an earthquake? There was a sudden explosion, and it felt like rocks rolling down the mountain, but this is not the rainy season, so how could there be huge rocks rolling down? Is that direction the cave of the gods? Seems to be. It's broken. Something happened to the immortal cave. Go and see if the statue is broken. We in Julipo cannot have the good life we have now without the blessing of the gods. Could it be that someone wants to destroy the immortal cave on purpose? Let's go and have a look. The villagers were talking to each other, and then they swarmed toward the mountain with their shovels in hand, waiting for anyone who could take advantage of them. They were familiar with the terrain in the mountains and were used to farm work. They walked quickly and arrived at the entrance of the cave in less than 10 minutes. At this time, I saw Shen Yuan and Lu Xiaoting, as well as a red fox with 2 tails. Lu Xiaoting is from the village and everyone knows her, so the village chief stepped forward and asked. Girl from the Lu family, it's probably not time for vacation yet. What are you doing here? When did you come back? Who is she? Lu Xiaoting was overjoyed when she saw the villagers coming and complained directly. Uncle, save me. She came to destroy the statues of gods. She also has an accomplice in the cave. What happened just now is that the gods are angry. Take them down quickly and make amends to the gods. People in Julipo believe in the magic cultivators in caves. Over the years, many people have made wishes and received benefits. They will not allow the gods they worship to be tainted by outsiders. So, when they heard Lu Xiaoting's words, they immediately divided into 2 groups. One group of people went to catch Shen Yuan, and another group of people walked toward the cave aggressively, trying to catch the madman who disturbed the gods. Seeing that Shen Yuan was in danger, the red-furred fox immediately left Lu Xiaoting's shoulder and jumped into Shen Yuan's arms. He raised his head and looked at the villagers warily. It is a family fairy, and it has to protect its owner, so Shen Yuan must not be hurt. Lu Xiaoting finally breathed a sigh of relief as she was no longer threatened by the fox. She quietly retreated away from the crowd and away from the imminent battlefield, for fear that the 2 sides would fight later and affect her. Shen Yuan tried to reason with the villagers. The one you worship is not at all, but an evil ghost. The prerequisite for it to realize your wish is to harm others. Don't be deceived by it. What's more, it doesn't ask for nothing from you. Every time you wake it up, it needs blood. It is absorbing your life in this way. She didn't know about demon cultivation, so she thought it was an evil ghost. She didn't know the demon cultivation method, so she guessed that the price the villagers had to pay was their lives. But she had to admit that she guessed more than half of it right. Shen Yuan originally thought that after listening to her words and knowing that their lives were threatened, the villagers would be dissatisfied with the evil and join her in dealing with the evil god. But unexpectedly, she was naive. People are greedy. The villagers have already enjoyed the benefits brought by praying and making wishes, so they will not be willing to give up this method. Who is willing to work hard if they can get something for nothing? What's more, sacrificing lifespan with blood is ultimately illusory. After all, people cannot see how long they can live, nor do they know how much time will be shortened by offering blood. They have no idea of the price they pay, but the benefits they receive are tangible. In comparison, they only feel that they can get what they want without paying anything. In this way, the evil is their food and clothing parent, and no one can destroy it. Nonsense and alarmist, arrest them. A murderous intent flashed in the village chief's eyes, and he ordered the people behind him. There are gods in Julipo. This is a tacit secret among the villagers. Everyone has sworn that no one can tell it, lest it arouses the covetousness of interested people. Now, an outsider has come in and knows about the existence of gods. In order to keep the secret, the insider cannot be kept. Animals are always sensitive, and the little fox sensed human malice. It jumped down from Shen Yueran's arms and landed on the ground. Regardless of the restrictions imposed by heaven on monsters, it ran its exercises to make its body grow bigger. The little fox, who was originally a little fox, could be hugged in his arms and the little cuteness, and suddenly became a giant fox, and his body was so big as a wolf. It stayed firmly in front of Shen Yueran and told her, "Take the amulet that Master Pei gave you, stand behind me, and don't move, I won't let you get hurt." Shen Yueran looked nervous. "Xiao Hong, you have to be careful. I don't want you to get hurt." As soon as he finished speaking, the villagers gathered around, holding hoes and shovels, and hit the little fox. While beating him, they said, "This beast has 2 tails and can talk. He must be a vixen. I don't know if gods can eat vixens. Even if the gods don't eat it, we still deserve it. Such a big fox with bright fur can be sold for a good price even if it's skinned. Come on, everyone, we'll split the money evenly." The little fox fought with the villagers, preventing them from getting even half a step closer to Shen Yueran. But soon, Shen Yueran noticed something was wrong. The little fox basically did not attack. Its claws were sharp and its teeth were sharp, but it never used them once. Basically, it used its huge body to block the villagers' attacks on Shen Yueran. In other words, it uses itself as a shield. Shen Yueran was so anxious that she didn't know why the little fox only defended and didn't fight back, but she didn't speak to prevent the little fox from being distracted. At the same time, she kept praying in her heart, hoping that Pei Anzu could come out soon. At this time, Pei Anzu had already met another wave of villagers. She eliminated the black energy with one blow, sensed her surroundings, and made sure there was nothing left. Then she turned around and walked out, but halfway, she met the villagers who came to catch her. "It's her, she destroyed the Immortal's cave, arrest her." The villagers were so excited that they swarmed up without any explanation and launched an attack on Pei Anzu while carrying farm tools. Although there were no tricks, they could not withstand the large number of people. Pei Anzu has killed countless ghosts and demon cultivators. He has also competed with senior brothers and sisters from other sects in the world of cultivation, but this is the first time he has fought against a mortal with no strength. In the world of cultivation, the strong are respected. She will not bully ordinary people, and no ordinary person who is not discerning will provoke her. But in this world, these mortals don't know her identity or that she is a genius disciple of Suanji section. They only think that she is the enemy who destroyed the immortal cave. Can't kill, and don't want to hurt others. It is really difficult to perform in this narrow cave passage. It took Pei Anzu a long time to subdue the villagers, put puppet charms on them, and let them follow them out of the cave. Because the power of the knife just now was too great, the mountains were still shaking, and boulders kept falling overhead. It was not safe for the villagers to stay in the cave. Pei Anzu led the villagers out of the cave and saw the scene outside at a glance. The situation of the little fox is not optimistic. It protected Shen Yueran very well, but it was covered in wounds. Even if it was a demon, it would not be easy if it only received beatings but did not fight back. There was blood in several places, and the originally smooth and bright hair was soaked in blood and stuck together, strand by strand. The red blood and red hair are mixed together, making it difficult to see clearly. This scene made Pei Anzu's eyes filled with frost, but his heart was filled with anger. The villagers of Julipo are very good. She has not been so angry for a long time since she started practicing. "Sister Pei," Shen Yueran saw her and immediately asked for help. "Please help the little fox. It only defends but does not attack. It can't hold on any longer." Pei Anzu joined the battle before Shen Yueran finished speaking. "The little fox can't fight, but she can. As long as she doesn't kill anyone or seriously injure the other person, she can attack at will. When she was in the cave, She didn't want to hurt anyone, thinking that these people were bewitched by the demonic cultivator's spiritual consciousness, but now it seems that they clearly have endless evil in their hearts. Every move they made, even though they were unorganized, was aimed at killing people. Whether it is Shenuaran or the little fox, there has never been any threat to this group of people, and they just want to kill people because they are afraid that the secret will be revealed. How abominable! How hateful! Pei Anzu told the little fox to retreat, and then she was no longer as merciful as before. She beat the group of people to the ground as quickly as possible, and then attached the talisman to them all. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 148. Chapter 148, Reaping the Consequences. The villagers all fell down, and Pei Anzu's eyes fell on Lu Xiaoting. The cause of all these things is Lu Xiaoting, and Pei Anzu and Shenuaran are here because of her. Pei Anzu originally thought of letting her go, but she wanted to use the villagers' hands to kill them. At this moment, all the villagers fell down, but she was the only one who was still hiding unscathed. Pei Anzu did not attack her again, and only said to these villagers, "I have already killed the thing in the cave. You don't have to put your hope in praying to God in the future, because no one will protect you anymore." As she finished speaking, the villagers looked at her angrily. "Impossible," Lu Xiaoting was in disbelief. "How could you beat the gods? There was so much movement in the cave just now, and the rocks were rolling. Could it be man-made power?" Pei Anzu didn't say anything, and just threw an explosive talisman. There was a bang, and the rocks on the ground were blown to pieces. "This is just an explosion charm. This is impossible. The immortal will not die." Lu Xiaoting couldn't help but shook her head. "It hasn't helped me realize my wish. How can it die?" The villagers didn't believe it either, and insulted Pei Anzu one after another. "Bitch, our gods live as long as heaven, so they won't be killed by you casually. You disrespect the gods, you will be punished by God. I'm warning you, let us go quickly, otherwise the gods will be rude to you if they know that its believers have been harmed." "Believe it or not," Pei Anzu sneered, and then walked towards Shenuaran. The little fox has returned to its original body, huddled in Shenuaran's arms. The blood from the wound dyed her clothes red. Shenuaran cried so sadly that she didn't even dare to touch for fear of hurting the little fox's wound. "It's all my fault. I insisted on coming. I asked him to come with me. If I hadn't been willful and insisted on coming over to watch the fun, Xiaohong wouldn't have been so seriously injured. It's all my fault. Sister Pei, please save it." Pei Anzu looked at Shenuaran, who was blaming herself, touched her head distressedly, and said comfortingly, "It's not your fault, it's their greed and their sinfulness. Don't punish yourself for other people's faults." "But the little fox was injured because he was protecting me." Shenuaran was still sad. "Don't cry, I'm willing to do it," the little fox comforted. "What's more, I am a fairy, and it is my responsibility to protect you. But you can obviously fight back, right? If it weren't for standing in front of me, you would have beaten them down." Shenuaran was still blaming herself. After hearing this, Pei Anzu explained to her, "It can't fight back because it is a demon and the opponent is a human. Human beings have been favored by heaven since ancient times and are the orthodox chosen by heaven as a monster. If it attacks people, it will only aggravate the cause and effect on it and be detrimental to its future practice. So, this is the truth why it only acts as a shield and does not fight back. It is not just to protect you. You really don't have to blame yourself. What's more, if you listen to the voice it spoke just now, it was full of energy. It's not a big deal at all. To it, it's just a superficial injury. As long as nothing happens to its inner alchemy, this injury will be healed quickly." The little fox nodded in agreement. "That's right, it didn't take this injury seriously. When it first opened its spiritual wisdom, it witnessed the Black Fox Sr. transforming into a thunder calamity. Under the thunder catastrophe, Senior Black Fox was chopped to the ground, his skin and flesh were torn apart, and there was not a single piece of good fur on his body. That was tragic. Compared with that, the wounds it received from human weapons were nothing more than drizzle. We'll clean it later, apply some medicine and bandage, and it will be fine soon, Pei Anzu finally said. Don't be sad, okay? With the comfort of Pei Anzu and Little Fox, Shen Yuan felt less guilty for the time being. Just as they were checking on the Little Fox's injuries, something happened to the villagers. They were originally insulting Pei Anzu, blaming her for killing the gods, causing Julipo to lose her asylum and the opportunity to gain something for nothing. But soon, a voice suddenly sounded in their ears. I'm not dead. That stinky girl is not enough to kill me, but I was seriously injured in a fight with her, and now I need your help. You are all my most loyal believers, you rely on my protection, and I rely on you for my survival, so are you willing to contribute to me? Hearing this, the villagers' faces suddenly lit up with joy. This is the voice of a god. It is really not dead. Not only is it not dead, but it has also escaped the pursuit of that smelly girl. Very good. Lu Xiaoting also heard this voice. She glanced at Pei Anzu cautiously, but saw that they were still chatting about the little fox's injury, so she replied cautiously. God, I am willing to contribute my power to help you heal your injury. The villagers of Julipo all agree. They are all beneficiaries of the protection of gods. Everyone agreed and everyone looked forward to the resurrection of the gods. But the next second, the joy on everyone's faces froze, because they discovered that changes were taking place in their companions. Although they cannot see themselves, they can see each other. In their eyes, their companions are aging rapidly. People who were originally in their prime began to develop wrinkles and their skin became saggy. People who were already old began to have their hair turn gray and their bodies became rickety. At the same time, their bodies began to wither and wither, as if an invisible force had sucked away their vitality. This change happened right before our eyes, and it was unexpected. There was a look of horror in everyone's eyes. Is this what the gods said, to contribute? Just take their lives away? There is an eldest person among the villagers who is already 70 years old, but he is still in good health because he has been doing farm work all year round. But after this, he looked like an old man in his 90s, with a shriveled body, loose skin and uneven breathing, as if he would pass out in the next second. Lu Xiaoting saw the changes in the villagers, and then she reached out and touched her face. She is only in her early 20s, which is the right age for youth. Apart from acne, she has no other skin problems. But now it feels rough and prickly, and you can even feel the wrinkles. She was not good looking to begin with, but now she has aged and become uglier, and her hope of being with Zhou Jiyi has become even slimmer. She cannot accept such changes. So she screamed and collapsed. I refuse. I refuse to give you power. Don't take away my life. I don't want to grow old. When I get older, Zhou Jiyi will really not like me. Her voice caught Pei Anzu's attention. Pei Anzu turned around and saw that the villagers lying on the ground had changed their appearance. A black line emerged from the eyebrows of this group of people, spreading towards the mid-air, and then intertwined in the mid-air, gradually converging into a larger black air. You're not dead yet, Pei Anzu stared at Heike with an ugly look on his face. The black energy was drawing vitality from the villagers. It wanted to delay time and make itself stronger, so it said to Pei Anzu. I said, you can't kill me. Little girl, don't you know that we demon cultivators are all very cunning? I have been here for so many years, how could I not leave a backup plan for myself? These villagers are its backup staff. More than 20 years ago, it woke up from the seal, and its power was still very weak. At this time, a villager from Julipo passed by the entrance of the cave. It used up its remaining energy to lure villagers into caves, pretending to be gods, and hoping to obtain offerings. The villagers are ignorant and think that this is a pie that falls from the sky. They are deceived into becoming its believers without any struggle. The first villager nourished it with his own blood and gave it strength. And it used this part of its power to fulfill the villagers' wishes. The villagers want to make a fortune. So he spread a small stream of black energy, possessed the villagers, and asked the villagers to find a rich car to prepare for the porcelain. The villagers found a rich second generation who drove Cullinan, so the black energy possessed the rich second generation, confusing his sight, affecting his sanity, and driving him to drive directly into the villagers. With the control of black energy, the villager broke a leg, but the injury was not particularly serious. The rich second generation has no idea what happened, but countless witnesses claimed that he hit someone with his car and he should pay them compensation. So he compensated the villagers 300,000 yuan and paid for all the medical expenses. The villagers have money as a result. Once he became prosperous, this matter could not be hidden from anyone at all, and all the villagers in Julipo knew about it. At first, everyone thought he was just unlucky, but later they saw that after he recovered from his injury, he always ran to the back mountain. They followed him out of doubt, and then discovered the location of the statue. From then on, all the villagers in Julipo became believers in the magic cultivator. They came to make a wish, and they would use their blood to awaken the demonic cultivators, so they had a profound connection with the demonic cultivators. The demon cultivator is just a ray of consciousness, but he wants a body and wants to escape. So he took advantage of the villagers' wishes to invade their bodies with his own demonic energy, letting the demonic energy linger in the villagers' bodies, always ready to seize the body. It's just that for so many years, the demon cultivator has not encountered a satisfactory body, and his strength is not enough to break free from the seal, so it has been delayed. Now that Pei Anzu broke the seal, he found a chance to escape. Pei Anzu watched the black air mass in the air getting bigger and bigger, and her eyes became colder and colder, but now she was in a dilemma. First of all, she couldn't take out the meteorite sword in front of so many people, but other attack methods may not be effective against the demon cultivator's spiritual consciousness. Secondly, the blow in the cave had almost exhausted the spiritual energy stored in her body. The little spiritual energy left in her body was not enough for her to give such a powerful blow again. More importantly, Heichi saw Pei Anzu's dilemma and laughed again. Can you kill me again? Is there no way out? Even if you can still take action, are you willing to take the lives of so many villagers? If you really want to kill me, regardless of their lives, you will be responsible for the consequences of human lives? Little girl, fight with me, you are still a little too young after all. After hearing this, Shen Yuan looked at Pei Anzu with a sad expression. Sister Pei, what should I do? Do you have any idea? Yes, Pei Anzu said firmly, little moon, believe me, since I brought you out, I will bring you back unscathed. As for it, it's dead. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Real Daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 149. After Pei Anzu said this, he sat cross-legged on the ground and took out the Ling Yuan pearl he had obtained from the ceiling formation. Subsequently, she activated the remaining spiritual power in her body and let the spiritual essence pearl float in front of her, spinning continuously. The next second, a magical scene appeared in front of Shen Yuan. Black gas constantly emerged from the villagers' eyebrows, forming a large mass of black gas in mid-air in the form of threads. But the black energy seemed to be attracted by something and kept approaching the Ling Yuan pearl. The black energy seemed to want to fight against the power of the Ling Yuan pearl, but in the end it was defeated and was completely sucked in. Under the influence of the Ling Yuan pearl, the connection between the demon cultivator's spiritual consciousness and the villagers was disconnected. The villagers' vitality has not disappeared, but what has been lost can never be regained. Seeing this, Shen Yuan asked, "Is that black thing dead?" "Not yet, but soon," Pei Anzu said. "Don't worry, it can't come out and will never pose any threat again." Ling Yuan pearl is used to nourish the soul and spiritual consciousness, but any injured consciousness and soul cannot resist the attraction of Ling Yuan pearl. Therefore, when the Ling Yuan pearl is running, spiritual consciousness will penetrate involuntarily. Even though the Ling Yuan pearl is now contaminated and its effect is not as good as before, it is still easy to absorb an injured fragment of consciousness. Of course, this is only treating the symptoms and not the root cause. The demonic cultivator's spiritual consciousness will be nourished to a certain extent in the Ling Yuan pearl, and it will slowly repair injuries and increase its strength. This is not Pei Anzu's original intention. She just used the function of the Ling Yuan pearl to absorb and imprison the demon cultivator's spiritual consciousness so that he could not harm the lives of the villagers. Then she took the Ling Yuan pearl to the mountain of Feng's family and strangled it completely with the help of the spiritual energy on the mountain. She had almost exhausted all the spiritual energy in her body during the battle in the cave just now, so this was the safest way she could think of. It's just that she didn't tell Shen Yuan clearly. Shen Yuan knew that he could no longer do evil, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Then he looked at the villagers and spat. "Bah, they are a bunch of rubbish, they are really worth it. It's better to wait for that thing to kill them all before you take action, than to let these people stay in the world to harm others." Of course, these were just angry words. She knew that Pei Anzu would never do this. No matter how bad the villagers are, they should not die in this way at the hands of the demonic cultivator. "The immortal was really killed by you." Lu Xiaoting saw this and murmured, "Then what should I do? How can I get close to Zhou Jiyi?" When Shen Yuan heard this, he felt angry. "It already wants your lives, and you still call it a god? You are really ignorant. Besides, don't think I didn't hear what you just said. When it wanted to take away your life force, you didn't want to believe in it. Now that it's dead, you blame Sister Pei for killing it. Why are you having such double standards? I've never been willing to say bad words to girls, but I have to say it today. I've never seen such a disgusting person like you. You deserve it." Pei Anzu patted Shen Yuan on the back comfortingly and said, "There's no need to talk to her. Just as you can't wake up a person who is pretending to sleep, you can't reason with a scoundrel either. Let's go back to the town and buy some medicine for the little fox." Shen Yuan carefully hugged the little fox, followed Pei Anzu obediently, and left here. Before leaving, she turned her head and took one last look. What will happen to these people in the future? They will reap the consequences, Pei Anzu said, and explained to her carefully. A lot of their vitality has been taken away from them. The older ones have only a few days to live, and the younger ones will be plagued by diseases in the future. In addition, they were able to do well before, all because of the evil god. Now that the statue has been destroyed by me and the evil has been destroyed, they will suffer backlash. Whatever they gained from the evil before, they will lose something soon, or even lose it. More. Those who get money will immediately go bankrupt, those who get knowledge will have their IQ lowered and may become fools, those who get feelings will have discord between husband and wife, turn against each other, and even draw swords against each other. In short, all this is destined. They have obtained this through strength that does not belong to them, so they must be prepared to lose everything. Shen Yuan nodded after hearing this. She knew that the life of the villagers in Julipo would not be easy in the future. They would lose everything they had gained before and return to a life of nothing. But because they have become accustomed to getting something for nothing over the years and praying to evil gods for everything, they have lost their will to strive for progress and their motivation to run forward. They will decay and deteriorate day after day, and poverty and misfortune will accompany them until they die. All of this has nothing to do with them. Out of Julipo, we walked along the mountain road for a long time, and finally arrived at the town outside. It was almost dark by this time. Let's stay in a hotel in the town for one night, treat the little fox's wounds first, and then return to Yunchinj tomorrow, Pei Anzu said. Shen Yuan naturally followed her arrangements, and the two of them quickly settled in as planned. It's just that Miss Shen used to stay in five-star hotels when she went out. She had never stayed in such a small hotel in a border town that cost 30 yuan a night in her life, and she was very uncomfortable with the environment here. The room here is small, has no ventilation, and has a peculiar smell. The most terrifying thing is that the sound insulation effect is not good. She can clearly hear the sounds from the two rooms next door. The man's heavy breathing and the woman's moans came one after another, and the bedboard creaked loudly. She blushed and wished she could become deaf immediately. Shen Yuan subconsciously looked at Pei Anzu, but saw that the other party was magically calm, as if he was unaware of the sounds next door, and couldn't help but envy the other party's strong psychological quality. Finally she couldn't bear it anymore and said, "Sister Pei, please knock me out after I faint, I won't be able to hear the sounds next door now, I can't sleep at all." Pei Anzu paused and apologized. "I was negligent. I was just meditating and didn't pay attention to these things. I'll draw a dividing note for you." After saying that, she took out the paper, pen, and cinnabar from her backpack, drew a picture in 3 seconds, and let Shen Yuan hold it in her hand. The moment the talisman was in hand, Shen Yuan's ears were clear. She breathed a heavy sigh of relief, cast a grateful look at Pei Anzu, lay down on the uncomfortable bed, and closed her eyes. Pei Anzu couldn't help laughing when he saw this. Before continuing to meditate, she took out her mobile phone, found Officer Du's contact information, told him about Julipo, and finally said, "The evil who deceived people is gone, but there are still many problems in this village. If the villagers' mentality is unbalanced, trouble may occur. You, the police, can pay attention to it in advance." Police Officer Du responded quickly. "I will immediately contact my colleagues in Songcheng and ask them to send someone to pay attention to this place. Thank you, Master Pei." After doing all this, Pei Anzu breathed a sigh of relief, quickly put the whole thing behind him, and continued to meditate. For her, the Julipo matter has been resolved, and the rest is the responsibility of the police to deal with the aftermath. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 150. Chapter 150, Heresy Investigation Bureau. After Police Officer Du ended the chat, he immediately reported the matter to his superior and then contacted the Songcheng police. At this moment, Officer Du's boss, the director who gave Pei Anzu the award last time, told him something. Kingzhou Immortal's live broadcast room lets us know that there are other existences in this world, and also lets us know that there are many things that cannot be solved by ordinary human power. Since the last kidnapping case in Yao village, the superiors have attached great importance to this matter. They held meetings for a long time and made a decision to set up a heresy handling team. This heresy handling team is headed by the Comrade-in-Chief of the Supreme Security Bureau, and suitable candidates are selected from within the local police system to form a team. You are the person who has the most contact with Master Pei, so the superiors have decided to transfer you to the headquarters of the heresy handling team to serve as a deputy to the comrades of the Supreme Security Bureau. You hand over your work within 3 days, and then report there. Your work will be assigned directly from there. Officer Du nodded after hearing this. Okay, regarding Songcheng, please contact the director over there. He has no objection to this transfer arrangement. As far as Officer Du is concerned, he stayed at Yunchinj police station and was just the leader of the serious crime team. It would take some time for him to get promoted. But when he joined the heresy handling team, he became the second in command directly. This was actually considered a high promotion. What's more, Since getting to know Master Pei, Officer Du also feels that he has become very interested in various abnormal situations, and this transfer is just in line with his own wishes. Just when Pei Anzu and Shen Yuan returned to Yunchinj, Officer Du had already handed over work to his colleagues and reported to the heresy handling team. The headquarters of this group is in Yunchinj. After all, Yunchinj is the most developed area in the entire Dragon Kingdom. It is not only the economic center, but also the political center, and the capital is also here. When Officer Du arrived at his destination, he discovered that the so-called heresy handling team was just a verbal name. Its real name was Heresy Investigation Bureau. This is a brand new department formed by the country after careful consideration and specially selected suitable talents, which is responsible for investigating the supernatural and ghostly things all over the country. The director's name is Guo Qinglang, a middle-aged man in his 40s. He was originally the deputy director of the Supreme Security Bureau, but is now the director of the Heresy Investigation Bureau. The current Heresy Investigation Bureau has just been established, and the functions of each department are not divided in detail. They are roughly grouped as follows. First, the investigation team is responsible for searching for similar supernatural events across the country, recording them and then reporting them. Second, the action team is responsible for handling these supernatural incidents based on the intelligence of the investigation team to ensure that the common people and more people are not harmed. Third, the personnel team, they are not involved in all kinds of strange things, they are only responsible for searching for capable people like Pei Anzu across the country, and then recruiting them. The above is the current grouping of the Heresy Investigation Bureau. Guo Qinglang is in charge of the overall situation, and there are 3 deputies below, each managing a department. After Officer Du was transferred, he became the leader of the action team. The reason why he was placed in the action team was because he had led people to cooperate with Pei Anzu in the Yao village trafficking incident and had certain experience. Police Officer Du joined the Heresy Investigation Bureau and immediately went to meet his new boss, Guo Qinglang. The two exchanged pleasantries for a few words, and then Guo Qinglang said, "Our Heresy Investigation Bureau will have to deal with all kinds of non-human beings in the future. This is not an area we are good at. We will have to ask Master Pei for help in the future. I heard that you are familiar with Master Pei. Can you please contact her, pick a time, treat her to a meal, and express our intention to cooperate with her? In addition, I don't know if she is willing to help the brothers. Training, tell everyone about this, and you can also help me ask." After hearing this, Officer Du nodded and agreed. "Okay, let me ask, but although Master Pei seems to be easy to talk to, a capable person also has his own personality and temper. I am not sure whether she is willing to reward him." "It's okay, you can try to make an appointment first," Guo Qinglang said. Police Officer Du came out of his boss's office and called Pei Anzu as soon as possible. After Pei Anzu came back from Songcheng, he did not return to the Pei family. He only lived in the house in Baiki Lake and drew talismans at home every day. Her online store has a very good business, and many people come to buy the talisman every day. The first batch of people who received the talisman and used it with effective results have already left comments at the bottom of the website. Blow up the amulet. The price is not expensive. It's best for sisters to have one. It can save their lives. I'm not exaggerating. Last night I went out for supper with my dormitory sisters, and we got into a fight. At that time, a beer bottle hit my head. My roommate thought I was going to die, but it turned out that nothing happened to me, and I even lost my skin. It wasn't broken, but the amulet turned into a pile of ashes, which protected me from disaster. Peach Blossom Talisman is YYDS. The afternoon I got the Peach Blossom Talisman, the man I had always had a crush on confessed his love to me. I finally have a sweet love. Thank you, King Zu Fairy Lord, otherwise I might not be destined to be with the male god, because I don't dare to take the initiative. A must for student parties, Wenchang Talisman. The monthly exam is coming soon. I wore the Wenchang Talisman to review and found that my mind was clear, I wasn't tired at all, I was more focused, and my memory was even better. I have a hunch that I will definitely get a good score in this monthly exam. The health charm must have a name. My grandma is old, has low immunity, and is weak. Even after treating a small cold for a long time, it had no effect. She kept coughing all day long. I bought her a health charm and slept with it next to her all night. Why am I coughing? It's amazing. These commenters are basically viewers of the live broadcast room. The nicknames they use on the shopping website are the same as those in the live broadcast room, so they look familiar. Their comments with photos appear to be very authentic and reliable, giving a wave of advertising to Pei Anzu's talismans and arousing more people's desire to buy. As a result, the inventory of talismans in the online store plummeted, and seeing that they would not be sold for much longer, Shen Yuan urged her to restock quickly. So in the past few days after returning from Songcheng, Pei Anzu did nothing but draw talisman in the room. When he received the call from Officer Du, Pei Anzu had just finished drawing on a pile of yellow paper and was about to cut out new talisman paper to continue drawing. Seeing the caller ID, she answered immediately. Officer Du, what do you want from me? Master Pei, it's like this. Officer Du told her about the Heresy Investigation Bureau and relayed Guo Qinglang's invitation. Finally, he said, I wonder when Master Pei will be free. Pei Anzu was silent for a moment and then said, I will be free at any time, please tell me the time and place, I will definitely attend the appointment on time. Great, thank you Master Pei, then we will wait for your arrival. After Officer Du finished speaking, he hung up the phone and went back to Guo Qinglang. Pei Anzu agreed because she realized that this world is different from the world of cultivation. In the world of cultivation, the strong are respected, the sects work independently, and there is no unified national organization, so she does not have to abide by too much order, and only needs to do things according to instinct and Taoism. But it is different here. In order to stabilize the social order, she needs to achieve good cooperation with state agencies. Now that the other party came to her door and formally offered her an olive branch, she did not refuse. End of this chapter.